Hello, I'm TypoTrex,
And I'm just Jay.
and you're watching twitch.tv/TypoHouseGames or YouTube/TypoHouseGames. I keep looking at the camera, but you guys can't see my face because I turned off. But we have a top 8 deck profile from our case tournament at Primetime Gaming from last weekend. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
All
Jeremiah.
right. So I ended up placing sixth place using Jolteon. It was a last minute call, last minute decision, as I stated previously, and it turns out it was really the call
It
to
was a
make.
great call, yeah.
Great call.
I could have been up there with you if I had remembered to shuffle my deck between games. My two losses in Swiss before the last round, I opened my hand holding 2 Drizziles and a Zigzagoon, and then the other one I was holding 2 Drizziles and 2 Quick Shooting Inteleon. I was like, I did not shuffle my deck, and I'm going to lose, and I'm really upset. But you keep going.
All right. So to start off is, of course, when you're playing Jolteon, you got to have, of course, the Jolteon.
Fair, yeah.
So, of course, you're going to have 4 copies of that. Don't mind that one that doesn't look like the others.
Hey, listen, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get the Jolteons, because if you don't know, the only way to get Jolteon out of the pack was to pull the full art. So it was much easier to find Vmaxes than it was Vs until the Jolteon box got released.
Right.
Yeah.
So, now, of course, people play 4 Jolteons because that's a deck to Jolteon. However, what a lot of people really do not think about is the Vmaxes. Now, the optimal choice is to choose 3 Vmaxes. You think 4-4 lineup. Trust me, you'll run into Vmaxes more than the Vs, likely than not. So this creates a perfect balance between the Jolteon Vs and the Vmaxes. So trust me, 3-4 lineup, perfect.
Also, rarely will you ever need more than 2 Jolteons, but you have to play more than 2 Vmaxes so they don't get prized.
Not to mention,
Yeah.
2 Jolteon Vmaxes get knocked out, it's game over anyway. So
Yeah. Well, they do have a free retreat cost, so sometimes you can do some shenanigans with running them around. But anyway, next up is the support line. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised.
right. So we're going to a 4 Sobble, 4 Drizzle, 2 quick shooting Inteleons, and 1 Shady Dillon's Inteleon lineup. Same lineup as in most decks that actually run Inteleon. So that's basic, run the mill, nothing special about it.
Yeah, if you're going to play that lineup, that's basically what it is. Now, do you want to talk about your snafu that got caught in top 8, or do you want to wait until we get to top 8 to talk about that?
I will get to the end of this deck profile to talk about
Okay.
that. Because trust me, what you see right here was not what's on that paper, and I'll talk about that in 1 second.
Yeah, and then, of course, the 2 Zigzagoons before we get too distracted and forget about them. I like that you have the shiny ones. I'm kind of jealous, actually.
Yeah, I had to make sure that I did get these for that deck because,
Yeah.
I just want to have a little flair to it.
Yeah. For a while, I was only playing 1 Zigzagoon in my Jolteon deck, but I did end up going to 2 shortly before the tournament, too. So I definitely think 2 Zigzagoon is the way to go.
Now, let's talk about the ball setup. Of course, most times when you run a lineup that does involve your Inteleon lineup with a little splash of Zigzagoon or whatever else you may want to run, you got to have the 4-4 ball lineup. So you got the quick ball, your 4 level balls.
And for those of you unaware, Level Ball is phenomenal with the Drizzle lineup because it can search for any Pokemon with less or 90 HP or less. So it does grab your Drizzles as well. So a lot of times what you'll see people do is they'll do Sobbles, evolve in a Drizzle, and they just change through all their Drizzles just to get them out of their deck. Yeah. And that's a subscription from Kip the Raven. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
I'll see you when you get home in a little bit.
So next up is since there's so much evolution in this deck, you got to have the 4 evolution instants in this deck. So
Even with the 4 evolution incense, sometimes it's hard to get to your Vmaxes or your quick shootings. And Jolteon without quick shootings is a rough day.
yes. Now I'm an aggressive player. I do not want you to play Pokemon. So, of course, in my deck list, I run 4 Path to the Peak. For you Mew players, I got something for you.
Yeah. Really, that's the entire reason you have to play 4 Path to the Peaks. And the meta before Brilliant Stars. We'll see how it plays out after Brilliant Stars. But if you ran into a Mew and you weren't playing Path to the Peak, you normally lost.
Now, I have saw a lot of deck lists where people run 4 elemental badges. For the people who don't know, elemental badges allow Jolteon and Jolteon VMAX to use 1 less energy to make their attack. So people run 4. I really do prefer 3 because you'll be surprised how many times you end up drawing the elemental badge, but you don't even have anything to attach it to.
So I actually ended up going down to 2
Really?
in my build. And there was only one time where I felt like I had to like really dig for it, but when I had to dig for it, I got it because I got research and the speed energy draw, so I saw like 10 cards that turn. So like it was a rough game if I didn't get it, but I ended up getting it. So
Now, I know with a lot of, again, this is just my build. I run a 2-2 lineup for your draw power. Now, I do run 2 Marnie, 2 Professor Researches. I thought about doing a 3-3 or a 3-4. However, I want to make sure that some of these other things I'm going to show you
ho-
next up
hold
is,
on.
yeah,
So you said 3-4. Would it be 3 researches, 4 Marnies, or the other way around?
it'll be 4 Researches and 3 Marnie.
Okay. So I go the other way around in my deck. I do 4 Marnie and 3 researches.
So much destructive.
Yeah. Cause dude, I get bad hands, and being able to stall for that extra turn with Marnie is just phenomenal sometimes. But I understand why you do the way you do. Go on.
So, now, of course, for the one thing that we all see the most in every deck, mandatory for each deck.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people run more than 1, more than 2, even more than 3. However, I only run 2 boss orders.
Yeah, I feel like in Jolteon you don't really need as many bosses orders. Like you need it early game so you can pick up like that quick 1 or 2 kills on like the Sobbles that people played out. But you should never need more than 3 in Jolteon.
2 scoop up nets. I really only use these really for the Inteleon lineup. I'll be honest with you, with the Zigzagoons being on the field, I really don't try to target it to put it back in my hand just to ping for 10 somewhere else. I really just use it just for the Inteleon lineup, and that's where I get most bang for your buck with this type of card.
I think I actually went up to 3 scoop up nets in my build. Since I put the second Zigzagoon in, I could probably go back down to 2, but I really found myself needing like another scoop up net late game. So that's why I ended up going in with 3.
2 Phantom Waves for the single strike, the rapid strike, as well as the Mew players. Gotta have 2 Phantom Waves. I really do. I actually wanted to play more.
Really?
Yes,
That's
I wanted to
interesting.
actually play 3.
Yeah.
However, because of you never know what's out there, because Dark Box was abundant,
Yeah.
and that would have made this a dead card in your hand.
So I only played 1 Fan of Waves, and I only played it once the entire day. And the one time I did play it, it wasn't even super relevant. So I'm in the opposite camp on Fan of Waves. I think it's good, 100%. I could definitely see 2 in the Jolteon deck, but I can't see any more than that.
Okay, as far as Cheryl's concerned, I love it in the deck, but crazy enough, I never used it.
Yeah, I went down to 1 Cheryl in my deck, and the only matchup where it would have been super relevant was my round 6 where I was playing against Paw Patrol, and I had to discard it early on because I was holding it and research,
Yeah.
and I really needed a new hand. But
And these are the miscellaneous: 1 tool scrapper, 1 energy search. Energy
yeah.
search, I liked.
No, I think energy search is 100% necessary because you play such a slim energy lineup, which you guys will see in a minute. So being able to search for an energy search off a drizzle is super important. I will say, um, I would have liked to put Tool Scraper in my deck, but it would have only been relevant for my last match as well. So I don't necessarily think Tool Scraper was super duper relevant in the current meta.
Crazy thing is, with Tool Scraper, this is actually what was a game winner for me. There was that one random player who had Paw Patrol, and man, Tool
Yeah.
Scraper was clutch.
Yeah, that was my round 6, which is where I needed the Tool Scraper. So, but in a 6-round tournament, if you only need it once, does it really justify a spot? It would have been really nice to have it, but does it justify it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no deck has a one-stop shop for everything you're going to
Yeah.
face. It just so happened that one card in my deck is the one card I needed, and I really didn't even think about even. I thought about taking it out so many times. I just, for this reason right here, 3 energies for normal light energies, 4 speed energies. I wanted to go to a 4-4 lineup. However, something told me not to take the Tool Scrapper out, and it turns out that 1 less energy
Yeah.
really does not make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
I had no problem finding energies.
Well, most of the time with Jolteon, you only ever need
1.
one energy attached, maybe 2. But even then, I've gone entire games where I only need to play 2 energies to attack the entire game. So having the slim lineup isn't bad. And again, the energy search to search for it is phenomenal. And so many people are playing what is it, Training Court too. So
Yes.
even if you end up having to discard one of your energies early on, it doesn't hurt you as bad. And speed energy is broken.
It's so good.
It says energy on it, but what it is Pot of Greed. Just draw 2 cards. It's phenomenal. If I could play 8 copies of Speed Energy, I would.
Yes, and good,
Yeah.
and it's really good for the Yu-Gi-Oh reference for the pot of greed.
Yeah.
If you don't know, draw 2 cards.
Got
So now when the playoffs started, these 3 energies became 4 energies, and you're probably wondering what happened with that when you do a tournament and you can switch out cards, especially when that box tournament required you to actually do a deck profile. Deck list. Well, in case you guys forgot when Chris said, do you want to explain what the shenanigans that happened towards the back end? Well, this became 4 energies because my Inteleon lineup, which was these right here, were written so bad. The quick shooting Inteleon lineup on the paper was supposed to read 2. Instead, I put it down for 1, and I put the Shady Dealings Inteleon at 2. So
super unfortunate.
yes, that's what you get when you do a deck list 3 in the morning after playtesting all night. Crazy thing is, playtesting for a deck I never even ended up playing.
That is unfortunate. That is a lot of wasted effort. So we talked about your snafu in the top 8. Do you want to talk about like your rounds 1 through 6, and then we can talk about your top 8 round as well?
Absolutely. So for round 1 through 3, it was just Mew. I hit Mew
Really?
player after Mew player after
I only
Mew
hit
player.
1. Can you do me a favor real fast?
Sure.
Go ahead and fan your deck out so everyone can see it on the mat, so they're not just staring. Sort it out so if people want to just like look at the deck and not have to like sit there and pause it after each card.
So the first 3 games, it was just so many Mew players. It was just Mew after Mew after Mew, and you'll be surprised at how many dead hands that my opponents had, and it doesn't make it any better when you open up with a path.
Yeah, pass
Every
really
time.
really hurts Mew, and if they can't get to their stadium in their first turn, they're having a bad day. Or if they miss their crams, that's another real bad thing. I think I only played 1 Mew deck the whole time, and he bricked. And then after he managed to get going, he was fairly new to the game, and he ended up leaving my Jolteon alive with only 10 HP. And then I played Cheryl, and he's like, "All right, you win."
Cheryl is so
Yeah,
deflating.
yeah.
I mean, you talk about, getting, when you put all that work in only to get a Cheryl, it's almost like walking in. It's just like walking in, to hey, girlfriend with the damn guy next door. So crazy.
Esports. Also, what's up, Insane Intentions? Nice to have you here with us. But yeah, so you said your first 3 rounds were Mew, and you beat all of them. What about 4? What was your round 4?
So round 4 was actually single strike.
Single strike?
Single strike
Yeah.
and crazy thing is that the eventual winner of that tournament was actually single strike was the wife of the player who won that actual tournament, and that was a wild ride. That ride was so wild.
Your round 4 was, what was her name, Stormy?
Yes, Stormy.
Okay.
Stormy Hernandez.
Oh,
Great-
yeah, because
great player.
I lost to her the round before, I think.
Amazing player. That was
Yeah.
my first time playing her, and man, she has a certain type of strategy that
Yeah.
I won't go into. However,
I don't think it's as much as you say it is, but we'll move on. So round 5. What was your round 5?
round 5 ended up being that Paw Patrol player,
Yeah.
and that was just
Yeah, that was the one. If you won, you were basically guaranteed to get in.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then round 6, the final round was against the actual eventual winner of that whole tournament, and he played Rapid Strike.
Yeah.
Out of all things
Yeah,
that
that's
can hit me,
that's a rough matchup. And then, so that was your round 6.
that was round 6.
And then going into top 8,
Yes.
you had to play him again.
Again.
Okay, so let's talk about the top 8 a little bit here. Let me put the camera back on so you can see my face and all my hand motions and stuff like that. So round 8, top 8, they did the deck checks. They found out his error on his deck list. So 1, he gets a game loss going into top 8. So he's already down a game. So it is now, if he loses 1 game in this best 2 out of 3, he's done. He lost a quick shooting Inteleon, and it turned into an energy. And despite the fact he had a game loss going into it, they still had to coin flip to decide who goes first. And then he plays against literally the worst matchup in top 8 for him. Everything was stacked against him. There was a very slim chance of him winning. And guess what happens?
I lost.
He lost still.
But the hype up was so amazing just now. You were thinking that against all odds, Just Jay pulled it out. I bricked.
I remember like leading into the top 8, waiting for everyone to get their decks back after the deck check. He's just sitting there going, I got one shot. I got one shot. I got one chance. One opportunity. I was like, all right, Eminem, let's hit it.
Yeah, and I remember you played the song.
Yeah,
you played the song.
So there's another thing that happened right before top 8 that made the top cut wild. I think there were 4 X2s who made it into top 8. There were 4 X2s who made it into the top 8 because there was a double game loss at one of the tables.
That broke it wide open, too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one when we get to the Dakota's deck profile. But there was a double game loss at one of the top tables. There were 2 players who were X1, and there was a double game loss. So it completely like threw everything wide open. There were so many people that made it into the top 8 with an X2 cut. Also, Insane Intention saying he was the only one to beat Striker that entire tournament. It's unfortunate it was only in Swiss and not all the way in top 8 because you had a real rough top 8 run. Insane Intentions. All right, but that is it for the Jolteon top 8 deck profile from our case tournament. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the Leafeon in just a moment. But you've been watching twitch.tv/TypoHouseGames. If you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, you're watching YouTube/TypoHouseGames. If you're watching the live stream, don't go anywhere. But if you're watching YouTube, this is the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.